Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the Co-Creation Hub, also known as CcHub, is a dynamic innovation center that supports startups and entrepreneurs in Namibia. Now, CcHub accelerates that is early-stage ventures, fosters collaboration, and drives sustainable growth. Now, it's been over a year since it set up a shop in Namibia, and here to speak to us about the strides they have made, of course, we are joined by Adia Nganga, who is the head of community and ecosystems at CcHub, iHub, Nairobi, Kenya. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to Namibia.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me this time.
Absolutely. How's your stay back in Namibia now?
Absolutely amazing. In comparison to where I'm from right now, Namibia is always so chill. Can I say that?
Well, you know what to do now. I think since things are chilled, I think it's about time that you permanently move, isn't it?
Maybe. Like we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. I love Namibia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's just get into the thick of things. What motivated CcHub to expand, its operations into Namibia? Of course, now it's the second visit.
Yeah.
You've of course established that when you came in Namibia the first time.
Absolutely. So as for us, how we look at it is that we proudly say that we are the largest tech hub in Africa, considering that we are in now 5 countries, 4 countries, 6 hubs, right? So Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, and now Namibia. But when we look at it, what we want to achieve is economic prosperity. Right? And we look at Namibia as our gateway into the region, right? When we did a couple of programs here last, maybe about 2 years ago, 1 year ago, our founder saw the potential of Namibia, right? Looking at the young people and the entrepreneurial mindset and the innovation mindset. So looking at that and interacting with them at the time, we sat down and said, you know what, let's get into Namibia, because a lot of people would always assume, yeah, maybe we'll go to South Africa, right? Because it's a big economic state, right? But then when we started, we actually have the potential to create something amazing in Namibia, right? To be able to work with young people, work with different stakeholders, government, the private sector, look at how people can innovate within the ecosystem, right? Just looking at the entrepreneurial mindset has been quite amazing. And the past 1 year has been, to say the least, quite interesting to be around. It's been a teachable moment, right? What we've been trying to do is understand the landscape, right? Hydrogen, green economy is quite great here, right? Looking at the creative sector as well is amazing, right? And the young people, we worked with NAST and UNAM the past 1 year, and seeing how great and entrepreneur and innovative those young people are, I cannot begin to tell you the things that they have innovated in the past 1 year. It's amazing to see. And I wish I had the same opportunity growing up. I wouldn't say my age, but that could clearly tell you how far back I scrolled down looking for date of birth.
Very well. But that does just gives us, good news that perhaps we can expect more investments from Kenya then? Is that the case?
I wouldn't say just Kenya. I would say the region. I would say looking at the Pan-African view of it, I think there's a lot of investment that can come in. We have seen there is NAIBAN, the Angel Investors Forum that has been created just the other day, and it clearly shows that there is a lot of potential when it comes to investment into Namibia, right? Looking at the different partners that we've worked with so far, GIZ and such, right? It's amazing when we sit down with these partners and our vision is aligned. So if you look at investments, right? Depending on the sector that we're in, we were having a conversation yesterday, and if we look at how investments are structured across Africa, right? You'd see, of course, fintech, which is a big player in the ecosystem. It's, but then there's so much potential coming into the green energy space, which I feel like Namibia would play a big part in it, right? That's right. And just looking at I believe it's the hydrogen plant just being commissioned right now. Exactly, right? I think that will bring a lot of investments into Namibia, and we want to be the forefront of that and supporting innovation within the same space.
Absolutely. But let's get a bit deeper into what CcHub exactly does, which is, of course, foster collaboration among startups within its ecosystems.
Yes.
How have you been doing that, especially now in Namibia?
So CcHub has been in existence for, let's say, 14 years now,
14
right?
years.
So when we rightfully say we are the biggest tech hub in Africa, we really are. I know people...
I like the way you say it with so much pride.
I am. I genuinely do enjoy what I do because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of impact within the space, right? And just to answer your question, for us, we look at innovation and economic prosperity in different ways, right? I believe innovation cannot happen in isolation. We need players within the space, right? So we work with different entities, right? We work with the government, we work with the startups, we work with the entrepreneurs. Of course, there's always a difference between who is a startup, who is an entrepreneur. I think that depends on who you're talking to at the time. Yeah. We work with universities and innovation within the space. I'll speak to Namibia. When I mentioned that we worked with UNAM, that's University of Namibia, and NAST, we supported about 12 students, to innovate across different sectors, right? And looking at their innovations, it's actually amazing that they came up with an idea, build a prototype, and now it's going to market, right? That's the journey that we've held on with them, right? Going with them through capacity building. We give them some sort of funding. They were able to pitch in Berlin and in Kenya, right? That's a huge opportunity for an undergrad student. You know, that's amazing, right? And it's not just because we were able to do it, it's because we could see the potential of these young people. And having the support of the universities and even the government itself to help us come in and do such a program at such big, at such a big scale is amazing because we can see the support. And that's why we say Namibia has a lot of potential. Just that one program, we can say that we've changed a bit of mindset when it comes to entrepreneurial mindset, right? And also innovating when you're young, right? We are teaching young people to be job creators and not be job seekers. You know, when we grew up, it's like, you kind of have to go and...
You want to do it yourself.
You have to...
you want to do it young.
Exactly.
Indeed, a very good initiative. But how does CcHub engage with local universities? I mean, you just mentioned there, but I think another question that I would like to ask is, the lessons that CcHub has learned, during its first year in Namibia. And what do you perhaps plan to even build on to that lesson that you've learned?
So... Number one, the way we work is first we start with research, right? We can't just come and bulldoze and say, hey, here we are, right? So we kind of had conversations with different players, right? Including NIPDP and, of course, the universities. And that's where we started off, right? That's where we were like, you know what? This is where we are getting... These, we can accelerate quicker, right? And we did a data science program with... some group of young people. And that meant that us understanding how the different industries work, whether they're innovating within the creative economy, whether they're innovating within green energy, whether they're innovating within healthcare, right? We were able to understand how that landscape looks like, right? And then that we went on to say, you know what? We've seen this is what is needed, right? Then we went on to approach the universities and said, hey, we are co-funding this program, right? We are not asking you for money. This is our program. We are going to support. All we need from you is for you to mobilize the students to be part of our program, right? So we didn't take anything from UNAM. We didn't take anything from NAS. The only thing we took from them is their amazing students, right? And it proved that there is a lot of potential within that space, right? I wish we could showcase these students on a national level so that people can see the amount of innovation and how brilliant they are, right? Just digitizing small things like the health system across Namibia, right? So that's what we did. We started with research, gathered the data, then we saw that, you know what, let's start from here. Let's engage the young people first. Then now we can continue to showcase what they have done, look for collaborations with different corporations within the ecosystem, see what they can do and accelerate their growth within those industries.
I want to touch base with you with a challenge that has been coexisting for quite a while now, especially with a lot of startups and entrepreneurs that are, having some sort of idea and they want to bring it to fruition. And is that of funding, startup capital, or not having collateral to perhaps attain funding from a banking institution or whatnot. How does, CcHub, provide that kind of assistance in that area, especially from Namibians, through your engagements that you've had already? And what do you think is the right way to go through that path?
So I think, I rightfully say this. Namibia is a very young startup ecosystem. If you compare with the big four, right? If you compare with South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Egypt, right? It's, even if you look at funding, it's a pretty small ecosystem, right? With a lot of potential, right? So what we do here is, number one, as I said, we started with mapping out, right? Who is where, what industries, how much investment has come into Namibia, right? One thing that a lot of people need to understand is that you need to understand the right kind of investment that you need when you're starting off, right? You can't go to a venture capital when you're at early or at an idea stage, right?
Absolutely not.
Right?
They'll look at you and say, well.
But then there are a lot of angel investors in the ecosystem who will believe in your idea, help you grow. For us, where we come in, as much as we do have our growth capital fund where we support entrepreneurs, because funding is still a big deal, right? You do need, even if you have an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, you still do need something to push you, right? So what we do is, apart from the little funding that we do give, like for the students, we give about $5,000, right? That's enough money for you to accelerate.
That's US dollars? Or?
That's US dollars, right? For a student, that's enough, right? But that's not all, right? To give you capacity building. Capacity building looks at it this way. How are you going to structure your business? How is your business structured? Your IP, right? Marketing, distribution, how are you going to expand into the different markets? Who are the players? Who are your competitors, right? That's what we sit down with these entrepreneurs and ask them. As you map out and as you look at what you are trying to solve, right? As you look at your product, right? Who are you going to distribute? Who is your customer, right? And we help end to end. Again, talent is a big deal. If you don't have the right talent within your business, you're not going to be able to grow. And especially people who believe in what you're doing, right? So I think for us, apart from the funding, there's a lot of work that needs to be done within the incubators and accelerators within the ecosystem, right? Just teaching the entrepreneurs the basics of actually running a business. Because to be honest, we are not taught that. It is not something, you can go and Google and see what is there, right? But you do need somebody who will stick by you, hold your hand, right? Practically, right? For the students, what we did, we actually, right now, after their capacity building, after they brought the idea into life, now we support them in go-to-market strategies, which is very, very important, right? Because if you don't understand your market, then how are you going to be able to sell? How are you going to be able to make your product marketable, right? And profitable at the end of the day. So for us as CcHub, we don't just look at funding, we look at everything else that comes with the funding and support you as well in that sense.
Indeed, quite a lot of interesting things that CcHub is really doing. And I love the fact that you're saying it so passionately, because it takes a lot of passion to do what you're doing, to love what you're doing, and of course build it from there. Let's talk about perhaps the measure that CcHub has in terms of social impact and how it supports startups beyond financial metrics.
So social impact, it depends on how you look at it, right? For us, we always say that the startups need to look at what they're solving for. What problem within the society are you solving for? And are you using technology to solve that problem? So after that, then we are able to support you. If we look at education and healthcare, which is those are very impact-based industries and significant, right? There's actually very little funding that comes into these industries and sectors, which is very sad, right? And because I'd say, first of all, they're heavily regulated by the government, right? But then how can we work together with the government to make sure that we are innovating within these sectors? In the past 2 years, in 2021, education only received 2% of funding, right? That is out of, I think, over billions of dollars that came into the continent, right? Healthcare, same way. But then we've seen significant change within that, right? Seeing players within the space coming in to support those industries. If you look at Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, if you look at the MasterCard Foundation, they have put a lot of funding and a lot of support behind these sectors to support them. So for us as CcHub, we look at these as societal problems and how can we support them to solve social issues as well.
Absolutely. All right, now the hub has been in existence in Namibia for over a year now.
Yes.
Talk to us about what the future looks like. It's quite, exciting to know what you are going to be planning to do here in this country.
Yeah.
Perhaps, the interactions that you've had with Namibian startups and entrepreneurs and what you have in plan for them.
To be honest, when I was told, oh, we are going to be going into Namibia, I was excited but also scared.
Right.
First, number one, I've never been here, I've never interacted with this ecosystem, right? And I build for Africa, right? That's my role. So when we came in, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised, but when guys say traffic, it's just 10 cars in front of you.
But we still complain about it regardless.
We still complain about it, which is so interesting because I feel like, oh my, if you go to other countries that I will not mention, traffic is actual traffic.
Right.
So the one thing that we did is, again, as I mentioned, we started with mapping out the ecosystem, right? Understanding where we are and where we can plug in. For us, as I said, innovation cannot happen in isolation. We need to work with different people. And our future is looking at how can we be able to support, whether it is government, whether it is the private sector, whether it is even universities. How are you going to be able to support and create the culture of innovation and so that they are able to integrate that, right? Technology is always changing. AI 5 years ago was not a thing, right? If you look at AI, right now, ChatGPT is a whole thing, right? And I feel like there's so much more that will still come, and we want Namibia to be part of it, right? And for us, how we look at it, we can't do it alone. We need to work with different people and different people within the organization, whether it's the entrepreneurs, the startups who are trying to innovate, and solving for social problems. Because for us, when you come to us for support, we ask you, what are you solving for? What's your problem statement, right? So that we know, okay, when we look at this is the partnership that you need. Who do you need to work with? Where are you headed? Do you need to, are you looking to expand beyond Namibia or just beyond Windhoek, right? Maybe you'll go to Swakop or wherever it is, right? So for us, the future is very bright in Namibia. Why? Because we are supporting in the mindset change of innovation and entrepreneurship, right?
Absolutely.
It is quite amazing to see. The past 1 year has been amazing. Unfortunately, I always come during winter, but this winter is not as cold as last time. So, yeah.
But what has been the response been from, the Namibian startups that you've been closely working with, after offering them this support?
I think it's been positive, right? And it's always good to see when they talk about how far they've come, right? And if you've been to CcHub Namibia, we host a lot of events. These events is to showcase the kind of progress the entrepreneurs are doing, to create a space to collaborate and network, right? To be able to create those foundations for, the kind of work that you're doing. Because I'll not pull you and pull another person and say, oh, here you are. I'll bring a group of people together and tell you, hey, I've created this platform for you. Please network, please go on, right? That is where we get the feedback from, right? The numerous events, the numerous interactions that we have with the ecosystem, right? So whether it is the entrepreneurs that we have or the startups that we support, right? It is always amazing to interact with them on a level that it's not just capacitive, like we're always teaching them, right? It is also them learning from different people. Peer-to-peer learning is very important. We've had successful entrepreneurs in Namibia. How can they be able to learn from them, right? To understand how they move from point A to point B, which is very, very important. So for us, also peer-to-peer learning is very important. Learning from the people who have done it, who are continuously who are continuing to do what they're doing, and also who are innovating for the ecosystem, and how can they be able to support them. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sure there should be one viewer or one entrepreneur who has this business idea that they've had for the longest time, but just struggling to bring it to paper or even bring it up somewhere. For those who are probably watching and want to be part of this amazing initiative, where do they go? Who do they call? What website do they go to? Just advice to them for them to also become part of this amazing initiative.
So there are two things here, right? First, I was very happy when you search CcHub while in Namibia, it brings you CcHub Namibia, right? Gives you the clear space where we are in. It's a very beautiful building. I love being there. It's a bit cold, but I love being there. So you can just walk in and we will be able to support you. You can check out CcHub, the CcHub website. So it's cchub.africa website. And if you just Google CcHub Namibia, it's just there. Follow us on social media, CcHub Namibia. You can see all the work that we're doing and how we are going to be able to support the ecosystem.